I'm Cecilia, I live in Zurich and I love train travel, and I'm trying to visit all 1,720 public transport train stations in Switzerland. But back in April I was in London for a bit and I'm trying to see more of the UK, so I went on a day trip to Newcastle.
Good morning. I'm in the lift leaving the building. My sister and her flatmate were still asleep, so I didn't want to wake them up. And I'm off to Newcastle today. Made it onto the train, and this one left from platform 0, which I always think it's funny, there is a platform 0, and I am on a direct train to Newcastle, so it'll be super straightforward. This actually is not my seat, because I have a seat back there, but it doesn't have a window, and this seat is not reserved for the moment, so fingers crossed I get to keep it. If not, I'm moving back over there later. And the weather could not be better, and it's meant to be very nice in Newcastle as well, so I'm really excited. Also very excited that you get food and drinks on this train. She did fill the orange juice cup up. Hopefully that'll be alright now. Yeah, so basically didn't have to get breakfast on the way, which was convenient because I wouldn't have had time. And this train from London to Newcastle is going to take 2 hours and 50 minutes. It's actually the train that also goes to Edinburgh. So I've definitely taken this train before, but I don't really know the route well, so I'm looking forward to looking out the window quite a lot. Got my book out as well. But yeah, excited for today. Arrived on time. There's a very pretty church here. So I've noted down a few things that I wanted to go see. I'm off to a museum first because it said that it's partially a local history museum, and I thought that would probably be a good way to try and learn a little bit about the city, because honestly I don't know anything about it other than they used to produce a lot of coal. And so really excited to have a look around. The train station itself is gorgeous, so really love it. It's sort of a big curve, so everything that's like a repeating pattern in the ceiling and stuff repeats in a curve, and it's really pretty. So big fan so far. The weather's amazing, so I'm really looking forward to this. just arriving at the Discovery Museum. It's a really short walk, very nice and easy, and I was messaging with my mum, letting her and my dad know where I am today, and my mum said my great-great-grandmother was baptised here in Newcastle. I had no idea. I thought she was Welsh. It turns out it's her mum who was Welsh, but they were living in Middlesbrough and she got baptised here. So, heading to the museum, just trying to find the way to get there. Yeah, the last few metres were the wrong way. Like on Google Maps it's showing me a little path that I'm not sure exists, either that or it's a much smaller difference from the main road than I thought. Maybe it's that. The museum was excellent, really liked it. There was a little bit about the Enigma machine which I had a look at first, just because I like that particular story, as I think, I don't know, everyone does, right? It's fun, they worked a problem out. And then I went to the Newcastle story bit, which was great. Literally went from the Romans all the way to the present day pretty much, or like the 80s I suppose. And based off of no existing knowledge about the town, it was really good, really liked it. So, one thing that I definitely didn't realise was how connected different industries were, so that there was, for instance, glass making in this area because there was so much coal available, and like paper industry, stuff like that, so that other industries popped up because of the coal that could be dug up here. So I didn't realise that. That was cool. So yeah, big fan. That was very nice. It's free. Obviously they asked for a donation and they had card readers, thank goodness, because I definitely don't think I have cash on me. So I am off to somewhere that I saw at the museum. So one thing that I actually really liked was that in each period they had a little bit that said, where can you see things from this period around town, and whether or not they're open to the public. So I'm going to a bit that apparently there's a little bit of the city walls left in bits of the city, so I'm going somewhere that's about 7-8 minutes away, and it's kind of on the way to where I'm going next, which I can't remember what that one was, but I've mapped it all out. So city walls first. Just walked back past the train station and I'm nearly where I'm going next, which is a library which looked really pretty online, so hopefully I can go and have a look. Was one of the nicest libraries I've ever been to. It's a beautiful space, not very large. There are basically two biggish rooms, but
so friendly. It's a proper library. They have normal books. They're still using that like stamp system, which I thought was very sweet. And like people were sitting around and chatting. They were discussing American politics, and I just thought it was so nice. Like people are genuinely using it. There's a little children's section which looks fantastic. Like it's really clearly properly in use and has people who love it. Somebody immediately, like after I walked into the actual room with the library, someone immediately said like, oh, is it your first time here? And he explained a tiny bit about the history of the society. So nice. Love it. I'm now like 2 minutes from the cathedral, so I'm heading there, and then I don't know where to next, but cathedral first. It's a very nice church. I quite like British churches for the most part, like historic ones anyway. But I wouldn't say this one was like particularly amazing. But that also makes sense because in the museum it said that this church already existed and then it became a cathedral. So it wasn't actually like built as a cathedral, as far as I'm aware. So I've got a 20-minute walk now to the Biscuit Factory. Sadly, the Biscuit Factory does not manufacture biscuits. It's a museum. I'm not really that interested in the museum, but apparently they have a very good cafe, so I'm going there for the cafe. Honestly, that was fantastic. I didn't realise it wasn't a museum. It said gallery, so I just assumed museum, but they're a commercial gallery. So they have stuff on display that people might actually want to buy, which I think is generally a good thing. So there were lots of very nice things to look at. I wasn't planning on actually having a look around, but I ended up looking at pretty much everything. And in the cafe I had a vegetarian full English without the tomato. I really don't get why people have like roasted tomatoes. And it was very, very nice. I was on the little terrace. So had a fantastic time, honestly. And I'm just walking to an area now that I forget the name of. Oh god. Osburn? I have no idea. That's probably wildly mispronounced. But yeah, just walking there. It's supposed to be about 6 minutes. I think I'm quite close to university, like, I think probably student halls and stuff, or maybe some buildings. There certainly was a big university building nearby. And yeah, just going for a walk now. This thing is called 7 Stories, and it's the National Centre for Children's Literature, or children's books, so I'm going to have a look. was so nice. Really liked it. I only had a very vague idea that they might have some Judith Kerr related stuff. If you don't know who she is, she wrote a bunch of very famous children's books, like picture books, but she also wrote this book, a slightly novelized version of her own story, of when she had to flee Nazi Germany with her family. They had to go from Berlin to, initially they went to Zurich, or Switzerland anyway, and then they went to Paris, then London, and then ended up settling in the UK. And her books are really, really famous. They're really cute, and yeah, that was really nice. I liked the little galleries and stuff, and I mean, there was absolutely nobody there other than me, so I just kind of had it to myself. Just walked through fairly quickly, to be honest, other than the Judith Kerr bits, but very nice. I definitely think for people with children that would be great, because it's like they've got a proper bookshop with only children's things, and yeah, the galleries were very nice. I'm at the top of some steps now, just because, well, I thought there might be a view. There is a tiny bit of a view, and then I'm going to walk along the river back to the centre. A nutty cone with mini egg ice cream. Just left the Baltic Centre Museum. As a museum, I'm not sure it's really something that I'm particularly interested in, but the view was very nice. You could only go to the top floor box that you can see from here. There's apparently an outdoor viewing platform as well, but that was closed because if I understood correctly, it was because they're changing the exhibitions at the moment. And now I've got just over an hour, literally an hour and 4 minutes before my train leaves. There is a later option as well, but then I get back to London at nearly midnight, so this way I think I'll be at King's Cross around 10:30 p.m, so I think that's fairly reasonable. So yeah, I'm just gonna wander along on the other side now, see if I can see a little bit more of the castle, and apart from that I've not really planned anything, so maybe a tiny additional wander through the centre, but I'm kind of done with the plans that I had for today, which is very rare. Usually I don't manage to do all the sightseeing that I wanted to because something or other takes longer than anticipated, which is fine. I also like playing it by ear, but ticked all my boxes today. Not entirely sure why I thought I needed more sugar at this point, but before heading to the station I got a really good hot chocolate from Knorp's, which is a little chain that also exists in London.
Made it onto the train. They took a while to make the hot chocolate, but I'm glad I went. I got onto the train alright, so no issues in the end. This isn't my reserved seat either. There's somebody sitting in mine, so this one's available, so hopefully it remains available. And I actually was mistaken earlier. It's not going to take 3.5 hours. It's only going to take 3 hours and 4 minutes. So I'll be in London at 10:08 p.m. And the sun doesn't set for another 40 minutes or so, or maybe actually a little bit more, because it's setting later in the north already than it is in the south. So there will be a bit of a view for a little while yet. I'm listening to an audiobook, so I'm just going to continue with that and watch the nice landscape go by. Yeah. Oh, and I don't know why, but for some reason I'd read a Time Out thing earlier. I think it was Time Out. Basically things to do in Newcastle, and for some reason, maybe I misread it, but I thought you couldn't visit the castle. You totally can. So I suppose I'll do that next time I go to Newcastle, because it was very nice. I'd happily go again. And I'd like to go on a day when I think it's called Granger Market, is open as well. So a couple of things to sort of cover when I'm there next time at some point. Arrived at King's Cross, very comfy journey, and I've planned what I'm going to try and do tomorrow in Bristol. No idea if I'll have enough time, but we'll find out. And I am just going to head to M&S before I go home, because I feel like I've not had any vegetables today, so I'm going to get a salad. The barriers are open. Excellent. It's always a bit of a faff because the Interrail tickets won't scan. They're not recognised by the UK train scanners, so you always have to find a person to let you in, etc. So that's convenient. Ooh, it's not nearly as cold as I thought it would be. Feels like a warm day's evening rather than just being cold, which is nice. Right, M&S.
This is Warren Street.
I had dinner at home and spent some time with my sister and her flatmate, and I also had this incredible cookie that a friend of mine made. So addictive. I'll see you next time. Bye.